I'm going to discuss something that you need to stick around for, because it's going to underline and highlight some things a lot of people don't know, and it's confusing to most people, especially all the amateurs and beginners. If you want to comment, you have to subscribe. I'm not going to deal with drive-by trolling and stuff. So I'm Christophe Clugston. I hold the world record for a recall, 480 yards, stand safe. One of the reasons I can do this is signal clarity. I'm not going to get into that signal clarity in detail here. However, I am going to point out why you see so many different types of dog training and dog training advice, why you're getting conflicting. Why do they tell you to do this? Why do certain people think that praise only, they can get by with praise only? Do you work a job for praise? No, you don't. You have to pay the dog. You must pay the dog. I'm giving you free information here. And a primary reinforcer. If you don't know what a primary reinforcer is, look up Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It applies to dogs, canines, and felines. I was influenced by big cat trainers, not dolphin trainers. You make a mistake with a jaguar, a tiger, a lion, a mountain lion, or a leopard, you're dead. You're dead. That doesn't happen to you in a tank when you don't feed a fish to a dolphin in a concrete tank. That doesn't happen. If those people were training sharks, I might listen to them. But you need to know about the drives of the canines you're using, and therein lies the thing. The hunting dog people are using English pointers, German short-haired pointers, Labrador retrievers, Chesapeake Bay retrievers, and some other dogs I could go into, but those are the ones that you'll be familiar with. Those dogs are extremely tough and resilient. They will take a lot of harsh training. That's why the bird dog people and the retriever people they don't want to use primary reinforcers, and they want to give limited praise. They think the dog's going to work on that because they're picking dogs that are genetically bred to do what the tasks that they're looking for: pointing, holding the steady point, or retrieving the waterfall from the water. So they're very strong on using collar and leash to begin with, and then they'll do what's called the Dobbs overlay for e-collars, which I'm not going to explain. You can delve into these, but I know this stuff. You will find the IGP people using primary reinforcers in the fact of the dog is ball crazy or toy crazy, and this can set the dog into a real frenzy with certain Malinois lines and certain German Shepherd lines. And Doberman's not as much, but with the bite sports, you'll see this, and you'll see the hyper focus on the handler, which you can't see with hunting dogs because it destroys what they're doing. It's not practical. It's not tactical. It's not practical. IGP contrived sport, like all of these sports are. Now, agility dogs, mainly border collies, Australian Shepherds, and some other dogs along those lines, herding dogs, if you want to use the generic containers for the different types of dogs, sporting dogs, hunting dogs, working dogs, and such. The people who are training that are talking about border collies mainly. They're soft, they're very finely tuned to the handler, they're picking up signals from the handler as they do agility. They're still focused on the handler. Now, if they're doing AKC, sport obedience, lots of dogs can do that, or rally, they're still using crutches that are not pragmatic, and we don't use those with movie dogs because it's unnatural. The automatic sit, which you'll find with hunting dog people, especially retrievers. Retriever trainers will basically just train here, that's the recall, the sit, the stay, and healing. And now they're healing. Of course, it's not at the weird IGP stargazing stuff. It's more practical, but that's their obedience, which they'll call yard work. They'll start that out, and so do pointer people, but they don't use, they'll substitute the whoa, which is the stop and hold. They will sometimes put a down in, but they want their dogs standing, so they don't focus on the sit as much. Some do when they're using pointers. In England, they use pointers that will retrieve, and people who use German short-haired pointers also have them retrieve quite a bit, so they're dual-purpose dogs. So they'll do that. But the sit, the recall to the sit in front of you is nonsense. for it. It's not natural. It slows dogs down, and I have the world record, so you better listen to me, people. If you're not listening to me and you can't compete with me, which you can't, then you're being ridiculous if you don't want to learn from the best. That would be me. You're seeing these different advice given to different people because of what the dog does, and the trainers are used to this type of dog. And that goes with even the e-collars they pick, because the pointers and the German Short Hair Pointers have short fur base. It's not like a Border Collie or a German Shepherd or a Malamute has a double coat. So the e-collar that they're picking for the pointer won't work. I guarantee you won't work on the German Shepherd or the Malamute and many other types of dogs. But I point that out because people are getting confused. They're seeing people who pick also middle of the pack, which is, I'm just using that as a phrase that's not accurate at all. Pack is not accurate for a band of dogs unless they're a family. Pet dog trainers are looking for submissive dogs who are not the independent leader types. Ask them to train. Ask these franchises that charge $3,000 or more for a 3-week board train. They won't take a Basenji. They won't take an Afghan hound. They won't take a Saluki. They won't take a Greyhound. Why is that? Because their method will not work. They're using like a McFarland method with the e-collar. I know all of this stuff, people. I know how everybody trains. I know what everybody does. They just can't match me. They don't know how I train. And that's proprietary, just like Google's algorithms are proprietary, or Microsoft's. Proprietary is proprietary information. They're going to give that stuff out when? Never. Never. Same with me. What I'm saying is I know what they do, and this is where the confusion lies. And you go to somebody like Zach the Hack George with his modified ideological frame of view for training dogs. It doesn't work. It won't work on bite dogs. It won't work on trailing dogs. It won't work on hunting dogs. It won't work on the bomb dogs. He doesn't know because he can't train those types of dogs. He's never trained those types of dogs. He never will be able to train those types of dogs. So everybody projects from their little niche. That's the secret. They project from their little niche and from the dogs that they're used to. Now, with 52 years, I have covered everything. I started out with bird dogs. I'm not into that. I don't have the infrastructure. I'm not going to chase a field trial championship. No way. Not interested in it. I did sled dogs. Those are the greatest athletes on the planet for dogs. The long distance, I did a Rider Yukon. Well, Yukon's been shortened now. But knowing that type of dog means you know that type of dog. Same thing with Winifred Strickland, who I still think has the most AKC obedience records for German Shepherds. She knew the pet quality German Shepherds, and in fact she's responsible for watering down the German Shepherds in the United States from the original, what was designed from the dog to be a working dog, to do the Schutzhund, which was a breed standard test, not a sport really at the time. So you go on to that, and you look at the people who do hunting dogs, and we can go to hound dogs too. All of these dogs, they are used to that type of dog. They know how to train that type of dog. You find these people who are stuck in their niche, and so they project that method will work for all dogs. It will not, and it will not work always for pet dogs either. It's too harsh. They try to move too quickly on certain things, and Zach the Hack's garbage doesn't work on every pet dog. Karen Pryor, I mean, the reason why they kicked Gary Wilkes out, because he was telling the truth about training. You need to be able to use everything for training. It's about the performance and the outcome. Now, he's never worked with bite dogs or a lot of other dogs. He's good at training, though. And Karen Pryor leaned on him initially because she can't train dogs. She never could train dogs, really. But they got into the ideology, and she made a lot more money, purely positive. So what I'm telling you, people, go back over this, that everyone is stuck in their niche, and they're telling you how to train the dog that they train. And unless you are trying to do exactly what they're doing, it won't work. It won't be the best information. You'll hear conflicting advice. Now, I don't give you conflicting advice because I know several different types of ways in the kinesthetic location protocol program that I use with people. I know what works with dogs. I know the canine mind, and I have the best signal clarity that there is. That is the biggest problem with everybody, the signal clarity. I will not go into that. Oh, you want to know about it? Book a consultation. Come to me in person and learn, or do a mentorship. I'm not interested in people who are not going to invest in their learning. Bottom line is here, don't look to niche trainers to solve anything outside their niche. Don't look for niche trainers to give you information that will work outside their niche.